Hey everybody, my name is Diana Garcia. I am a money and mindset coach for first generation Latinas, helping you heal your um, wounds, your money wounds, healing your relationship with money overall, and helping you build wealth through investing. And today we have a very special guest, Maribel from Our Wealth Matters. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today and the community. And let's just go ahead and start off by introducing yourself and who you serve and what your mission is.
Yeah, so my name is Maribel. I serve predominantly the female and immigrant community. And this is because basically I was trying to figure out what the heck my 401k was all about. I went down a multi-day YouTube rabbit hole and came out on the other side going like, oh my gosh, I think I know everything that a beginner investor needs to know. I was like, maybe it was just me because maybe I'm just behind. Maybe it's because I'm from an immigrant family. It's just me. Everybody else must also know this. But then when I was talking to people at my job and, they're much older and they were like, wait, what? And I was like, hold up, I just shared a piece of personal finance knowledge and you're older than me. You've been in corporate America much longer. You're not first gen and you don't know about this? And so I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I definitely need to do this for our comunidad inmigrante. So I have been working for 10 years as a certified income tax preparer, and the last 5 years after I graduated college, also working in the LA Hollywood entertainment industry in finance. So I'm currently a finance manager and I manage multi-million-dollar budgets in the corporate world. So now I get to take that knowledge and just have it serve our comunidad here. So super excited to be on this conversation with you today because I know that you were getting feedback saying, hey, maybe you weren't touching on a lot of immigrant comunidad type personal finance. And I was like, girl, let's do something about that. Let's have an IG live.
There's always a solution, right? And it's like you said, you DM me like it's impossible to cover every topic under the sun. And when we're not the experts, why are we going to go on camera and like talk about something that we're not unsure of? So I was like, I know who to contact. Maribel thankfully reached out, and that's why we're doing this collaboration. And I just want to say that I appreciate you so much, and you're doing amazing, amazing work. All right, so let's get into it because I know that a lot of folks are probably on their lunch right now. So let's get into it.
And guys, tell us where you guys are joining us from. Like, we want to know what areas of the United States, the world we're covering right now, and if you guys have any questions, let us know as well. Let us know what you guys are excited to learn about this podcast, because I know that a lot of people were looking forward to this and, going like, hey, like, let's talk about this. Where can we find more resources? So definitely let us know where you guys are joining us from and what you guys are looking forward to learning. So yes, let's get started.
All right, so quick disclaimer. We are so happy that you are here. We will be discussing how to build wealth as an undocumented person, a much needed conversation, and everything that is discussed in this conversation is for educational purposes only. Maribel and I are not certified financial planners, so please just take this as educational purposes only, and always do your best, always do your research and see what best fits your situation. With that being said, let's get started.
Right.
So I did get a few questions from some of the people in my community, so we're just going to go ahead and start there. And if folks have questions, please drop them in the comments. So let's start off by addressing this. If someone does not have a Social Security and has an ITIN number, can they invest? Can they build wealth in this country?
Yes, they can. So the beautiful thing about having an ITIN and being in the United States is, first of all, never underestimate how capitalistic the United States is. So you don't have a Social Security number, you have an ITIN, you still can invest. With an ITIN, you could do everything from open a bank account, savings account, go to university and get financial aid depending on your state. You can also get loans for a house or carrito, buy a house or a carrito. You can even get an EIN for a small business, and you can become a contractor, freelancer, and legally earn money in the United States. And then you can also begin investing.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I think it's intimidating as someone who is first generation themselves. I have a Social Security number and I have that privilege, but even then for me, it was scary to take the leap and start investing. So I can't even imagine what it's like for folks who, have that extra barrier. So thank you for addressing that.
I did want to clarify something. So I know that first gen is used interchangeably a lot in the community. So just want to clarify how we're using first gen here in this IG live. I am first gen. She is first gen. The way we're using first gen is we are the first generation born in the United States. So our parents, even though they're the first generation here, we consider them like our parents, the immigrant generation. But when we say first gen today in this IG Live, we mean the first generation born here. So we were born
Yes.
here with Social Security numbers, but we are talking about information about how to invest if you are undocumented, so you have an ITIN. And my assumption is that anything that applies to an ITIN also applies to anybody having a social security number. So even if you're on this IG Live and you're like, I don't have an ITIN, everything we're talking about can also apply to you if you have a social security number.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. All right. Anything else you want to talk about? Any other misconceptions that you've heard from your community, or any like common questions that you receive on, like,
Yeah, so in general, I think a lot of people think that they need to have a lot of money before they begin investing, and that's simply not true, especially with fractional shares. It means you don't have to buy a whole share. So like if I want to buy a share of Amazon, I can buy a fraction of it. That's what fractional shares is, high level. You can begin doing that. So there are some brokerages. I personally like Fidelity. They allow you to buy fractional shares. So literally, I remember showing one client that how they could invest 10 cents because I had just gotten that as an interest payment, and it let the purchase go through with 10 cents. So you don't need a lot of money to start investing, but you do need to have a plan. So how you're going to allocate your money, make sure you have your emergency fund first of all, and make sure you figure out your why. Why are you doing this? Because that's what's going to pull you through those hard times, like any recessions and times when you see the market go down. It keeps you from freaking out porque tú ya sabes que tú ya tienes todo guardadito, and you don't have to go to the stock market and pull that money out and keep it from growing. Otherwise, it defeats the entire purpose.
Exactly. I love how you point out that a lot of people, or a lot of folks, just want to jump in right into investing because they hear that that's where you make money. But you have to remember that you have to start off with the strong foundation, and that's having enough cash in case something were to happen, right? So thank you for addressing that. Another question that I received, which is relative to investing, is can I open up a Roth IRA with an ITIN number?
Yes, so definitely. So as we said, you can invest with an ITIN. This does include the Roth IRA. And if you're like, wait, I thought Roth IRA was a retirement account. Yes, but your 401k and your IRAs are both retirement accounts, but they are investing accounts. So if you already have a 401k at work, you're already an investor. Now we just need to figure out how to manage those investments and what is even in there, what you're getting charged as fees. Same with the IRAs or Roth IRAs. So with an ITIN, you can invest in an IRA. You just need to find a brokerage company that will accept ITINs. So this includes Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, just to mention a few. Again, do your own research, see who's right for you. With my clients, I have them do Fidelity because I am most comfortable with that platform. I like their customer service. I know they have translators. I know they have customer service 24/7. And if a department is not there when you call them, they will just tell you that the department is not there. They're not going to be like, okay, let me pass you on. And then you're like there for 30 minutes until the call hangs up itself. I hate that. And so that's why I like them. And I really like recommending it because then someone can start their process there, whether you have an ITIN or Social Security, and then show the other people in your family who may also have a Social Security or an ITIN how to work through the platform porque uno ya navegó through those platforms on how to do purchases and everything. So it's information that I feel can be passed on. But to the main question, can you invest with an ITIN in a IRA or a Roth IRA? Yes.
Yes. Yeah, because I talk a lot about Roth IRAs in my platform. And yeah, so the question came up, and you definitely can. And it is so important that no matter how old you are, if you think that you're late or if you think you're too early, it is never too early to start investing. So please consider that as part of your wealth plan, right? If that's what fits your lifestyle best. Thank you.
Yes. And the reverse of that, it's never too late to start. Because even if you're not going to retire like multimillionaire, you're still going to retire with more money than if that money was not invested.
Exactly. Thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to the next question. So how can I start building credit with an ITIN number?
So there are different ways. One of the ways that you can do it. And the way I got started was by getting a credit card. And again, this just comes down to who are those companies that accept ITINs for credit cards. There is, for example, Bank of America is horrible as a bank because they don't give you a lot in savings, but they do accept people with ITINs to start their credit journey. And these are some of the banks that we see most predominantly in our comunidades that are brick and mortar, right? You can also get some with like online banks sometimes, but if there's a brick and mortar bank and you feel comfortable with them, you know, that's who your family's gone to for generations. Listen, let's start you off with something that you're already comfortable with. So let's do that. You can go to them. Usually when you're applying with an ITIN, people prefer to have you go in person if it's a brick and mortar bank. So just go with your ID, take an identification card, take your ITIN number. If you can, bring out that form that the IRS sent you. It's CP-something, but basically it's the letter that the IRS sends you when they say, hey, we've assigned this ITIN number to you, so that you have proof that you have got the number from the IRS, also the utility bill, something that demonstrates your address, that matches the address in, let's say if you take your ID or California driver's license, sorry, just driver's license as your ID form, the addresses should ideally match because it shows that you have a residence in the United States. And by residence, I mean just an address. It doesn't mean like legal residency.
Like where you receive mail. It's like when you're going to the DMV and they want an ID and they want proof of your address. It's the same thing.
Yes,
so
same
please,
thing.
If you don't have your documentation in order, go ahead and do that today.
Yes, this is your sign. Also, let's say you have already tried going and applying to a credit card, but you got denied. It's suggested that you wait at least like 6 months before you apply to another one. Every case is different, pero más o menos. And then otherwise, you can also ask someone if you can become an authorized user in their credit card, but make sure that this person knows how to handle their freaking credit because it's going to be by association. If they're good with their credit, you're going to be good with your credit by association. If they're bad with their credit, your credit score is going to go bad by association. This goes also, you can either go on somebody's as an authorized user. They don't have to give you a credit card. This is just to, you know, push up your credit score or begin a credit score. You can also do this for your children. Let's say you have a credit card and part of what goes into the FICO score, which is used by like 90% of lenders, part of what makes up that score, like 15% of it is based on length of time. So we can't turn back time, but what you can do is put your children on your credit card, and as long as you're good with your credit, their credit score will start going up too, because then the card that you put them on, that becomes their longest standing credit score. So the longer you can have that credit score, the better, as long as you're responsible with it and pay off your debts on time ideally even before the statement closing date, to lower your utilization rate. And I'm throwing like a lot of terms out here, and definitely like let me know if you guys need clarification on anything.
Yes, I love that. I learned about adding authorized users to your credit cards, and it's been a game changer. I did it for my mom because she was undocumented for like 25 years, so she had no history of credit. And I mean, now she's set, but you definitely don't have to wait, right, to become a U.S. citizen or to have Social Security to become an authorized user. Just for reference, this live is being recorded and saved and uploaded. So if you feel overwhelmed right now, don't worry about it. You're going to be able to come back to it and rewatch it.
Yes, and if you do watch it on the desktop, you can speed it up to 2x speed, just saying.
All right, thank you for that. So we talked about Roth IRAs, we talked about building credit. You said Bank of America was a good bank to start with if that's something that you're comfortable with, if it's in the area, but definitely look for banks and brokerages that accept people who have an ITIN number.
Yes, if you don't want to work with a bank, there are some credit unions. You would just have to check the ones in your area that may accept ITINs. So they'll typically, you know, if they accept ITIN for one thing, they'll typically accept it for others. So let's say they accept an ITIN to start a checking account or a savings account, they'll typically also accept it for your credit card. So you just got to do a little bit more research and legwork because some of the credit unions are typically like local and aren't national based. So just know that you don't necessarily have to work with a bank like Bank of America. You can also use one of your local credit unions.
Yeah, thank you for highlighting that. And I know it's scary to call, but just call. It's not going to take too long to get an answer from them. All
Yes,
right.
and if you have somebody else, if you could be like, hey, you know, I have an ITIN, I'm nervous about going into this bank, send one of your family members who has a social security number, just be like, hey, you know, I'll give you $5, $10, just go ask these questions.
Yeah.
And, you know, and they could just ask like, hey, do you accept people with ITIN? If they say yes, then okay, what does a person with ITIN need to bring? Again, if you guys are like, you know, I don't want to make that call, I don't have anybody to ask, feel free to come through. I do this for clients all the time when they're like, hey, can I do this? Can I do that? And because I don't have an ITIN, I haven't gone through all these situations myself. So I'll typically just pick up the phone and make like a bunch of calls to banks and credit unions and be like, hey, I read this on your website. Is it true? What do you need? What does this person need to come in person? What papers do they need to have ready? And they'll usually, customer service is very helpful and will give you a list of what you need.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Definitely always ask for help. You have Maribel, you have myself, and we're here to help you and support you in the best way that we can. We have 3 minutes left, Maribel. This went by so, so fast. But I'm just gonna go through the chat here really quick to see if anybody had any questions. Um,
We have one question that says, are your fees to work with clients set? Do you work with the client depending on needs? Do you want to take this question first?
Sure. The best way to talk about how we can work together is just booking a call. It's better to interact with people live, and you're not forced to sign with me or sign with Maribel. It's simply to just have a conversation. So I encourage you to DM me or just schedule a call directly in my bio, and we'll talk then.
Yeah. And the coaching calls that I offer are 1 hour one-on-one coaching sessions. So this is more specifically to if you have questions already and you're like, these are the only questions, you know, I just need to get unstuck, then it's like, okay, great. I have you submit the questions. And so we talk in our coaching call about the questions that 100% apply to you because these are your questions. These are coming directly from you. If you want to then book another session, if you're like, hey, I want you to take me from zero all the way to investing, then we just book a series of coaching calls. So that's the best way to work with me is you go to ourwealthmatters.com or you can go to the link in my bio and you can schedule a coaching call.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Is there any other comments, any other concerns? Actually, I had a comment. And I know that there is a lot of uncertainty right now with folks who have DACA, and I do want to address that. What would you tell people or folks who are listening who are feeling uncertain, who are probably even like feeling discouraged? Like, is it even worth it? Is it even worth building wealth in a country that I might not be able, like,
Yeah. Yeah,
what do you want to say
definitely.
to them?
So this is where I like, you know, I'm trying to create my course because I want to address questions just like this, or especially also like what happens if I get deported. And the thing is, just like with any money that you have in a bank, you can, before you leave, you can always take it out or have a plan where you put beneficiaries and they can take care of it. Pero la cosa is, even if one loses their DACA status, you still have that social security number. And if not, you still have that ITIN. And everything that we've talked about here applies to those with ITINs. And as I said at the beginning, the assumption is that anything that applies with ITINs also applies to people with DACA and social security numbers and also applies to people who were born here and have social security numbers. So it doesn't matter whether you lose your status here, you still can create wealth in the United States and grow that wealth. So whether it's you have your own business, so maybe you like can't work at a 9 to 5 anymore, you can always get an EIN, start your own business. You've worked at that job for a number of years. Let's make your own shit happen because you're never going to earn as much money working for somebody else than you are going to make working for yourself.
Yeah.
You can just take those expense deductions of all the things that you put into your business, and if you make it just go on autopilot, your business, so let's say you make like a digital product or something, you don't have to spend 9 to 5, like you don't have to spend that many hours there depending on how you structure your business. So know that even whether you have an ITIN or a social security number in the United States, you can still build wealth, whether it's through your own business, you can still be invest, you'll still be able to do that. You could still buy a home. You can still buy a car, just like all the people with ITINs do. I'm sure that whatever happens with DACA, they will be able to do it too.
Yes, your wealth is yours and you can take it with you wherever, whenever you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, this was such a powerful conversation. Thank you so much for your time, Maribel. And I know that folks took really great gems out of this conversation. And just really thankful for your support and for, yeah, for all the work that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Diana. And again, if anybody ever comes going like you're not, talking enough about immigrant finances, just be like, go to Maribel. She takes
Yes.
care of that.
Yes, as you heard, she has some wonderful services. And if you are trying to get some answers, please hit her up. All right.
Yes.
Thank you,
All right.
everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. See ya.
Wait, Maribel, before you
What's
go,
up?
if I close it, will it give me the option to save?
Yes, if you have it to save to your archives.
Ooh, okay. Let's cross our fingers that this live will save.
All right, do it.